The metal walls of Harmony Point Space Station felt colder than usual. Ambassador John Miller walked down the long corridor toward the main meeting room. His black shoes clicked against the floor with each step. The sound echoed in the empty hallway. John had been in space for 3 months now. 3 long months of trying to make peace between humans and the Zorvian Empire. His dark suit felt too tight around his shoulders. He loosened his blue tie and took a deep breath. The automatic doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside the meeting room, beings from across the galaxy sat around a huge oval table. The table floated in the air, held up by anti-gravity technology. Blue light strips ran along the walls, giving everything a cold glow. Susan Rodriguez sat at the human section of the table. She wore a gray suit and had short brown hair. As Earth's lead negotiator, she had worked day and night to find a solution. Her tired eyes showed the stress of the past months. She gave John a small nod as he entered. Across from them sat the Zorvians. They looked like giant praying mantises made of purple crystal. Their leader, Zektar, stood 9 feet tall. His crystalline body reflected the blue lights, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. 4 arms ended in sharp points. When he moved, his body made sounds like breaking glass. The Altarians sat to the left. They looked like dolphins with silver skin and large black eyes. Their leader floated in a special water-filled chair. The Altarians loved peace and had never fought a war. They watched everything with worried expressions. The Betelgeuse Consortium representatives looked like octopi with golden skin. They controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes. Their leader wrapped several tentacles around a data pad, checking shipping schedules even during the meeting. In the corner sat the Centauri Collective. They were the oldest race in the galaxy. They looked like tall, thin humans with pale blue skin and white hair. Their representative was over 1,000 years old. He rarely spoke but watched everything with ancient eyes. Zektar slammed one of his crystal arms on the table. The sound rang through the room like a bell. Everyone jumped except the old Centauri. 3 months we waste on these talks, Zektar said. His voice sounded like grinding stones. Humans must accept reality. You are weak. You are new. You have only been in space for 50 years. The Zorvian Empire has ruled for 3,000. John felt his jaw tighten. He forced himself to stay calm. Getting angry would not help. We seek fair terms, Susan said. Her voice stayed steady and professional. Our colonies in the Kepler 442 system have been there for 20 years. We have mining rights in the asteroid belt. These are recognized by galactic law. Zektar made a sound like breaking windows. It was how Zorgians laughed. Galactic law protects the strong, not the weak. Here are our final terms. A hologram appeared above the table. The terms floated in glowing red letters that everyone could read in their own language. 1. Humans will leave the Kepler 442 system within 30 days. 2. Humans will surrender all mining rights in the asteroid belt. 3. Earth will pay tribute to the Zorvian Empire for 100 years. The amount equals Earth's total yearly production. The room went silent. Even the Betelgeuse trader stopped checking his datapad. The Altarian made a sad whistling sound. Susan's face went pale. These terms would destroy our economy. Our people would starve. That is not our concern, Zektar said. Accept, or we will take what we want by force. Your little ships cannot stop the Zorvian fleet. John looked at the other races. The Altarians turned away. The Betelgeuse traders suddenly found their data pads very interesting. The old Centauri closed his eyes and sighed. No one would help humanity. They were alone. The encrypted message reached Earth in 12 minutes. Admiral Ryan Johnson sat in his office at Fleet Command, a gray building hidden in the Rocky Mountains. His coffee had gone cold hours ago. He read Ambassador Miller's report 3 times, hoping the words would somehow change. They did not. Ryan pressed a button on his desk. Get me Dr. Park and General Conway. Emergency meeting in 10 minutes. The war room at Fleet Command looked like something from an old movie. Screens covered every wall. A huge holographic map of the galaxy floated in the center. Red dots marked Zorvian territory. Blue dots showed human colonies. There were far more red dots than blue. Dr. Lisa Park arrived first. She wore a white lab coat over jeans and a t-shirt. Her black hair was tied back in a messy ponytail. She had been working non-stop since the peace talks started going badly. Dark circles under her eyes showed her lack of sleep. General Paul Conway entered next. His green uniform had sharp creases. His gray hair was cut short in military style. He had fought in Earth's last war 30 years ago. Now he might have to fight humanity's first space war. President Daniel Kim appeared on the main screen. He sat in the White House Situation Room, thousands of miles away. His usually calm face showed deep worry lines. "How bad is it?" the president asked. Ryan stood up. "The Zorvians demand everything, sir. If we accept, Earth starves. If we refuse, they attack. Our entire fleet has 87 combat ships. The Zorvians have over 6,000. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what those numbers meant. "Dr. Park," the president said, "what about the Prometheus contingency?" Lisa stepped forward. She touched her tablet, and new images filled the screens. "We've been working on this for 2 years, Mr. President, ever since the Zorvians started making threats." The screens showed technical diagrams that looked like science fiction. Tiny drones, swarms of microscopic robots, ships that could turn invisible, weapons that bent the laws of physics. "The Zorvians think we're primitive," Lisa explained. "They judge us by our ship count and territory size, but they forget something important. Humans are very good at finding new ways to fight." General Conway frowned. "These plans, they break every rule of civilized warfare." "The Zorvians already broke those rules," Ryan replied. "They threatened to destroy our colonies, to enslave our people. We didn't start this fight." President Kim rubbed his temples. "If we use these weapons, the galaxy will fear us forever." "Better feared than dead," Lisa said quietly. The president stared at the plans for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. "Admiral Johnson, you have permission to begin Operation Prometheus. May God forgive us." Within an hour, secret orders went out across human space. Ships started disappearing from their regular routes. Cargo vessels changed course and headed for hidden bases. Military crews received sealed orders not to be opened until a specific time. Captain Mike Thompson commanded the U.S. Defiance, one of humanity's few stealth ships. He opened his orders in his private cabin. As he read, his hands started to shake, not from fear, but from the magnitude of what they were about to do. "All hands, this is the captain," he said over the ship's communication system. "We have new orders. We're going dark. No communications with Earth. No contact with other ships. We have a job to do." In her laboratory on Mars, Dr. Lisa Park watched the final preparations. Thousands of tiny drones sat in neat rows. Each one contained technology that officially didn't exist. Her team of young scientists worked with determined faces. They knew the stakes. The Zorvians had given humanity 30 days to surrender. They thought humans would spend that time debating and pleading. They were wrong. Humanity would spend that time preparing for war, a kind of war the galaxy had never seen before. Space is vast and dark. It is easy to hide things in space if you know how. Humanity knew how. 48 hours after the peace talks failed, alien monitoring stations began reporting strange patterns. Human ships were vanishing from trade routes. Colonies sent emergency evacuation signals. Mining operations shut down. It looked like humanity was running away. The Zorvian High Command watched these reports with satisfaction. In their crystal palace on Zorgius Prime, they celebrated. Their leader, Supreme Zektar, raised a glass of glowing purple liquid. "The humans flee like frightened animals," he said. "They know they cannot win. Soon Earth will bow before us." The other alien races saw the same reports. The Altarians felt sad for humanity. The Betelgeuse traders began calculating new shipping routes without human ports. The Centauri collective remained silent, but their ancient eyes watched carefully. None of them noticed the small dark shapes drifting through space. Commander Amy Chen sat in the pilot's seat of mining vessel 447. At least, that's what the ship's identification beacon said. In reality, the ship had been modified in secret. Its cargo hold contained 10,000 pounds of antimatter bombs, enough explosive power to crack a small moon. 2 hours to target, her navigator reported. The target was Rigel 7, the largest Zorvian fuel depot in the galaxy. Thousands of Zorvian ships stopped there to refuel. Without it, their fleet movements would slow to a crawl. Amy's team consisted of 12 humans. They had trained for this mission for 6 months. Each one had volunteered, knowing they might not come back. "Remember," Amy said to her crew, "we're not trying to win a battle. We're changing how the galaxy thinks about war." Similar teams moved through space in other modified ships. Captain Frank Martinez targeted the Zorgian shipyards at Betelgeuse 5. Lieutenant Karen White headed for the communication relay stations in the Vega system. Dozens of small human ships, each carrying devastating payloads, moved like ghosts through enemy territory. The Zorgians never saw them coming. Their sensors looked for big warships with powerful engines. They ignored small mining vessels with weak signatures. It was a fatal mistake. Back on Earth, President Kim met with the Senate Defense Committee. Senator Grace Taylor, a former Air Force pilot, led the questioning. "Mr. President, the public believes we're retreating. They're scared. When do we tell them the truth?" "When it's too late for the enemy to respond," Kim replied. "Surprise is our only advantage. We get one chance at this." In the Oort cloud, far beyond Pluto, humanity's real fleet waited. 150 ships, built in secret over the past 5 years. They used technology borrowed, stolen, and improved from every race humanity had met. Captain Jane Foster commanded the lead ship, the U.S. Vengeance. "All systems green," her weapons officer reported. "Stealth fields holding. No detection from Zorgian patrols." Jane nodded. The first phase was almost complete. Mining ships carried bombs. Cargo vessels held assault troops. Even passenger liners had been converted into electronic warfare platforms. Every human ship in space had a role to play. The Zorgians had made 2 critical errors. First, they judged human military strength by counting warships. Second, they assumed humans would fight by galactic rules of engagement. Rules that said war should be honorable. Rules that protected certain targets. Rules that limited certain weapons. Humans had studied those rules carefully. Then they designed Operation Prometheus to break every single one. As Earth's sun set over the Pacific Ocean, countdown timers across human space reached 0. In 12 hours, the galaxy would learn why humans had survived on a planet where everything tried to kill them. They would learn why human history was written in blood and innovation. The great game was about to begin. The pieces were in position, and humanity was about to flip the board. At exactly 800 Earth Standard Time, space itself seemed to come alive. Across Zorvian territory, thousands of tiny objects began to move. Each drone was no bigger than a basketball. Black as space, they had drifted unnoticed for days. Now they woke up. Professor Bill Anderson watched from his laboratory on Luna Base. Screens filled the room, each showing different sectors of space. His team of 30 scientists monitored the data feeds. Years of secret research had led to this moment. "Drone activation confirmed," his assistant reported. "All units responding. Beginning Phase 1. The drones opened like flowers blooming in fast motion. From each one, clouds of microscopic robots poured out. Nanobots, each smaller than a grain of sand. They looked like glittering dust clouds spreading through space. On the Zorvian battleship Pride of Zordius, Captain Zekral was enjoying his morning meal when alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed across the bridge. "What's happening?" he demanded. His science officer stared at the sensors in confusion. "Unknown particles attaching to our hull, Captain. They appear to be eating it." Zek Rowell rushed to the viewport. His crystalline eyes widened in horror. The ship's purple metal hull was turning black. Holes appeared, small at first, then growing larger. Within minutes, entire sections began falling away. The same scene played out across the Zorgian fleet. Warships, transports, space stations, anything made with Zorvian alloys became food for the hungry nanobots. The microscopic machines had been programmed to consume specific metals, metals used only by the Zorgian Empire. Admiral Janet Stone commanded humanity's revealed fleet from the U.S. Retribution. They dropped out of stealth mode in perfect formation. 150 ships appeared from nowhere, arranged in attack positions around key Zorvian installations. "All ships, weapons free," she ordered. "Remember, we're not here to destroy. We're here to disable." The human ships looked different from anything in known space. Sleek and angular, they used design principles stolen from a dozen different species and improved with human creativity. Their weapons were precisely targeted, hitting shield generators, weapon systems, and engines. Surgical strikes that left Zorvian ships helpless but intact. On Earth, crowds gathered in Times Square to watch the live feeds. President Kim had finally revealed Operation Prometheus to the public. People cheered as they watched Zorvian ships drift powerless in space. But in the Galactic Council chambers, the mood was very different. The Altarian ambassador's silver skin had turned pale gray with fear. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Nanobots that select specific targets, ships that appear from nowhere. These technologies should not exist." The Betelgeuse trade minister's golden tentacles trembled. "If humans can do this to Zorgian ships, they could do it to ours. They could destroy galactic commerce in hours." The ancient Centauri representative spoke for the first time in months. "We always knew humans were dangerous. We just didn't know how dangerous." Back in space, the Zorvian response was chaos. Their fleet commanders tried to coordinate counterattacks, but nothing worked. Ships that got close to human vessels found their systems mysteriously failing. Weapons that should have destroyed human ships either missed or malfunctioned. Dr. Helen Ross monitored the cyber warfare systems from her station. "Quantum virus upload complete. Zorvian battle networks are compromised. They're firing at their own ships now." The combination of physical and electronic attacks was devastating. Within 6 hours, the mighty Zorvian fleet was reduced to drifting hulks. Millions of Zorvian warriors floated in escape pods, watching helplessly as human ships secured their territory. But humanity wasn't finished. This was just the beginning. The galaxy had forced them to show their hand. Now they would show just how deep that hand went. Captain Roger Phillips prepared his Special Forces teams for Phase 2. "Remember, we're not conquerors. We're teachers. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's survival." The swarm had awakened, and it was hungry for justice. The second phase of humanity's response began at midnight. Dr. Robert King stood in an underground bunker beneath Nevada's desert. The room hummed with the sound of quantum computers. Cables thick as tree trunks ran into machines that officially didn't exist. "Quantum field generators online," his team reported, "ready to disrupt Zorvian communications." Robert nodded. For 3 years, his team had worked on technology everyone said was impossible. The ability to jam faster than light communications. The Zorvians used quantum entanglement to talk across the galaxy instantly. Now humanity would turn that strength into weakness. He pressed the activation button. Across the galaxy, Zorvian communication networks went silent. Every message, every order, every call for help, all stopped. For a species that prided itself on perfect coordination, the silence was terrifying. On Zorvius Prime, Supreme Commander Zekvar pounded his crystal fists against the command console. "Why can't we reach our fleets? What is happening?" His communication officers worked frantically at their stations. Nothing helped. The quantum field that connected all Zorgians had vanished. For the first time in their history, each Zorvian was alone with their thoughts. Meanwhile, human special forces teams appeared inside Zorvian fortresses. Colonel Sam Morris led the first assault team. They used personal teleportation devices, another impossible technology the humans had somehow made possible. One moment, the Zorvian fortress on Rigel 3 was secure. The next 50 human soldiers materialized inside the command center. The Zorgians barely had time to react before stun weapons dropped them to the floor. Fortress secured, Sam reported. No casualties on either side. Moving to disable their weapons grid. Major Helen Clark led another team into the Zorvian Military Academy on Vega 7. The young Zorvian cadets had never seen actual combat. They surrendered without fighting, too confused by humans appearing from thin air to resist. Across Zorvian space, the pattern repeated. Human forces struck 17 major military targets simultaneously. They appeared inside shields, bypassed defenses, and took control before the Zorgians could organize resistance. The Altarian ambassador watched the tactical feeds in horror. His species had developed their technology over millions of years. They thought they understood the limits of physics, but humans had broken those limits in just 50 years of space travel. How? He asked the human liaison officer, Captain Betty Parker. How did you develop these technologies so quickly? Betty smiled sadly. We didn't have a choice. When you're the newest species in space, and everyone sees you as prey, you learn fast or die. Earth's history taught us that lesson many times. The Betelgeuse Trade Consortium held an emergency meeting. Their economists calculated the impact of human technology on galactic markets. The numbers were staggering. If humans can teleport troops, they can teleport cargo, the lead economist explained. Our shipping monopoly becomes worthless overnight. If they can jam quantum communications, they control all information flow. They could reshape the entire galactic economy. In the ancient halls of the Centauri Collective, the eldest members gathered. They had records going back 1,000,000 years. They had seen empires rise and fall. But they had never seen anything like this. The humans fight like no species before them, the eldest said. They don't seek to destroy their enemy. They seek to remove their enemy's ability to fight. It's elegant and terrifying. General Patricia Lee coordinated the global assault from Earth's command center. Multiple screens showed green lights as each target fell to human forces. In 6 hours, they had done what other species thought would take centuries. All primary targets secured, her aide reported. Zorvian military command structure has collapsed. Their remaining forces are requesting terms. But Patricia knew the real message wasn't about military victory. It was about potential. Humanity had shown the galaxy what innovation plus desperation could create. They had changed the rules of warfare forever. The quantum strike was complete. The galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador Nancy Davis walked into the Galactic Council chambers with steady steps. Her gray suit was simple but elegant. Behind her followed a small team of human diplomats. The same room where humanity had been humiliated now felt different. Very different. Every alien representative turned to watch her enter. The Zorvian delegation sat in silence. Their leader, Zektor, no longer stood tall. His crystalline body seemed dimmer, smaller. The purple shine had faded to a dull gray. Nancy placed a small device on the table. A hologram appeared, showing humanity's new terms. The text glowed in soft blue light, readable in every language. The United Earth Government presents these terms for peace, she began. Her voice carried no triumph, no anger, just calm determination. The terms were simple. First, the Zorvian Empire would stop all expansion immediately. Second, they would pay reparations to 7 species they had conquered in the past century. Third, a neutral zone would be established, patrolled by human ships. The Altarian ambassador's silver skin rippled with surprise. These terms were far more generous than anyone expected. Humanity could have demanded the complete surrender of the Zorgian Empire. Instead, they offered a path to peace. Why? Zektor asked. His voice had lost its grinding arrogance. "You have won. You could take everything." Nancy looked at him directly. "Because we're not conquerors. We're survivors. Earth's history is full of wars where victors became tyrants. We won't repeat those mistakes." The Betelgeuse trade minister raised a golden tentacle. "What about the technologies you've demonstrated? Teleportation, quantum jamming, selective nanobots. These change everything." Dr. Eric Young, Earth's chief science advisor, stepped forward. "We're prepared to share certain technologies with the Galactic Council for peaceful purposes, under strict controls." The room erupted in whispers. No species had ever offered to share military advantages freely. It went against every principle of galactic politics. Senator George Taylor joined Nancy at the table. His white hair and lined face showed his 70 years. But his voice was strong. "Earth has fought world wars. We've seen nuclear weapons, biological warfare, chemical attacks. We learned something important. The best weapon is one you never have to use." The ancient Centauri representative leaned forward. "You speak of restraint, yet your demonstration of power horrified us all. How do we know you won't use these weapons again?" "Because we're establishing the human peacekeeping force," Nancy explained. "Our ships will patrol the neutral zones. We'll intervene in conflicts before they become wars. Not as conquerors, but as mediators." The implications hit the council like a shockwave. Humanity wasn't just winning a war. They were rewriting the rules of galactic civilization. For 3,000 years, the strong had ruled the weak. Now humanity offered a different path. Dr. Alice Brown, Earth's synapse psychologist, provided her analysis to the council. "Every species here evolved differently, some through cooperation, some through competition. Humans evolved through both. We can be peaceful farmers or terrible warriors. The choice is ours. And now yours." The Zorvian delegation whispered among themselves. Finally, Zektor spoke. "We accept the terms. We have no choice." "You always have a choice," Nancy replied. "We're giving you a chance to change, to evolve, to become better than you were." Over the next 6 hours, documents were signed. Treaties were negotiated. The shape of the galaxy changed with each agreement. The Altarians volunteered to help monitor the peace process. The Betelgeuse Consortium offered to fund the reconstruction of damaged worlds. As the session ended, the old Centauri approached Nancy privately. "We've watched the galaxy for 1,000,000 years. We've seen countless species rise and fall. But we've never seen what you've done today." "What's that?" Nancy asked. "You won a war without destroying your enemy. You gained power without becoming tyrants. You've terrified us all, not with your weapons, but with your wisdom." The diplomatic earthquake was complete. The old order had crumbled. Something new and uncertain was being born. 6 months passed like the blink of an eye. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. On Harmony Point Station, the same room where peace talks had failed now hosted a different kind of meeting. Zektor entered slowly. The proud Zorvian leader, who had once demanded Earth's surrender, now walked with humble steps. His crystalline body had changed. The aggressive purple had softened to a peaceful blue. He wasn't alone. Behind him followed young Zorvians, their bodies showing the same blue tinge. "Thank you for meeting us," Zektor said to Ambassador John Miller, the same human he had insulted 6 months ago. John smiled and gestured to the seats. "That's what we're here for. To talk. To understand each other." The meeting wasn't about military matters. The young Zorvians had questions about Earth, about democracy, about how humans balanced strength with compassion. The old Zorvian Empire was dying. Something new was being born. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. The Zorvian military government had fallen 3 months after the peace treaty. Revolution had come from within. Young Zorvians, tired of endless conquest, demanded change. They wanted to learn from humans, not about weapons, but about choice. Dr. Carol White published her analysis of the conflict in the Galactic Science Journal. The title was simple: The Human Paradox, Warriors Who Choose Peace. It became the most read document in galactic history. Humans possess the most dangerous trait in the universe, she wrote. They can imagine different futures. They can be brutal warriors or gentle teachers. And most frightening of all, they can choose which one to be. Captain Jim Peterson commanded the new human peacekeeping force. His ship, the HMS Unity, patrolled the neutral zone between Zorvian and Altarian space. What he found surprised everyone. Zorvian colonies are requesting our help, he reported to Earth. Not military help. They want teachers, doctors, engineers. They want to learn how to build instead of conquer. The Altarians watched in amazement. Their species had tried to civilize the Zorvians for centuries through gentle persuasion. It had never worked. But humans had done it in months by showing both the stick and the carrot. On the trading world of Betelgeuse sticks, something remarkable happened. Human and Zorvian merchants worked side by side. Former enemies, now business partners. The Betelgeuse Consortium's economists updated their projections. The galactic economy was growing faster than ever before. Fear of humanity has become respect for humanity, the lead economist reported. Species that once fought are now cooperating. The threat of human intervention keeps the peace better than any treaty. In the ancient libraries of the Centauri Collective, scholars added new chapters to their histories. They titled this era, The Human Catalyst. Their analysis was both simple and profound. Humans didn't just win a war, the eldest scholar wrote. They changed the nature of power itself. They showed that true strength comes from restraint. That wisdom matters more than weapons. That building is harder than destroying, and far more valuable. Back on Earth, President Kim addressed the United Nations. Representatives from every human nation listened as he summarized the past 6 months. We stood at a crossroads, he said. We could have become conquerors. Instead, we chose to become guardians. Not because we're saints, but because we remember our mistakes. Every war memorial on Earth reminds us that victory without wisdom leads only to more conflict. The transformation wasn't complete. Some Zorvians still dreamed of their old empire. Some humans worried about giving too much trust too quickly. But the momentum had shifted. The galaxy had reached a turning point. For the first time in recorded history, a dominant military power had voluntarily chosen cooperation over conquest. Humanity had answered the ultimate question. What do you do when you have the power to destroy your enemies? You help them become better. 1 year later, the galaxy barely resembled its former self. The changes ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. On Earth, a monument stood in Geneva. Not a monument to war, but to choice. The inscription read, "When we had the power to destroy, we chose to build." Ambassador Mary Williams stood at the podium in the newly built Galactic Unity Center. The building itself told a story. Human architects had worked with designers from every species. Glass walls showed the stars. Gardens from a dozen worlds grew side by side. Today marks the first anniversary of the new Galactic Security Council, Mary announced, with humanity holding permanent membership alongside the Centauri Collective. The audience included beings from across the galaxy. Zorvians sat next to Altarians. Betelgeuse traders mingled with human merchants. Old enemies had become cautious friends. The Zorvian reform was complete. Their new leader, Zekval, was young by Zorvian standards. His blue crystal body glowed with peaceful light. He had been a student at the conflict's end. Now he led his people toward a different future. We owe humanity a debt, Zekval said in his speech, not for defeating us, but for showing us we could change. They proved that strength without wisdom is meaningless. That true power comes from lifting others up, not crushing them down. Director Paul Clark ran the new Security Council. The organization handled disputes before they became conflicts. Human peacekeepers worked alongside members of other species. Their presence alone prevented most problems. Last month, we mediated 17 potential conflicts, Paul reported. All resolved peacefully. The mere threat of human involvement keeps most species talking instead of fighting. The economic transformation was just as dramatic. Human technology, shared through careful agreements, had revolutionized trade. Journey times between stars had been cut in half. Communication networks connected even the most distant colonies. The Betelgeuse Consortium reported the highest profits in their history. But the deepest changes were philosophical. Dr. Charles Lee, Earth's leading historian, published his analysis of the past year. He called it the mirror effect. Humanity held up a mirror to the galaxy, he wrote. We showed other species what they could become. Not through preaching, but through example. We demonstrated that evolution doesn't stop with biology. Societies can evolve too. They can choose to become better. Admiral Jennifer Baker watched the first joint patrol depart for the galactic frontier. Human ships flew alongside Zorgian vessels, Altarian cruisers, and Betelgeuse transports. Former enemies now served together. Remember our mission, she told the crews. We're not just keeping peace. We're building a future where peace keeps itself. The Centauri Collective had observed galactic civilization for 1,000,000 years. Their eldest member, speaking to the council, offered a perspective only ancients could provide. We have witnessed the rise of a guardian species, he said. Humans appeared weak because they chose restraint. They seemed primitive because they valued wisdom over technology. But when threatened, they revealed their true nature. They are the teachers the galaxy needed. On Earth, children learned about the great choice in school, how humanity could have ruled through fear but chose to lead through example, how being terrifying meant having power but choosing not to use it. One small girl asked her teacher, "Why did we scare everyone by being nice?" The teacher smiled. "Because, dear, the galaxy expected us to be monsters when we won. Instead, we chose to be human. And that was the most frightening thing of all, proof that anyone can choose to be better." As stars wheeled overhead and ships carried the message of unity to distant worlds, the galaxy continued its transformation. Humanity had indeed horrified the galaxy. Not through destruction, but through the radical idea that power should serve wisdom, not the other way around. The new order was built on a simple truth. The most dangerous species in the galaxy was the one that could destroy everything, but chose to build instead.